Hello, everybody. It's 2025.
Woo!
Woohoo! Although we already had
Happy New
one
Year.
that ran on like the actual new year, but we haven't spoken. Last time we were like, see you next year. And here it is.
Yes.
Here we are.
Here it is.
And here we
Happy
are.
New Year.
Happy
We
New
made it.
Year. Welcome to the Miles with Moms podcast. We are your host. I'm Whitney.
I'm Olivia.
Shanna.
Trisha. This is a podcast. Yeah. Woo! For moms who run by moms who run. And our goal is for mother runners everywhere to never have to run alone or feel alone in their mom life struggles or journey to accomplishing their goals. Because guess what? Taking time to take care of yourself and chase your goals as a mom is not only okay, it's awesome for you, and also all the lessons that you're teaching your kids. And speaking of goals, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Like, how do we select goals that fit our life and everything that's on our plate, and what is trying to pick something that's exciting but also manageable. I know personally, I learned the hard way of like picking goals that are too big for the time and energy and everything that I have. So yeah, but before we do, guys, it's been a while. How was your Christmas break?
Blink twice if you need help.
My kids go back tomorrow. What about you guys?
Mine do too, and I'm so excited.
Mine are supposed to, and we're supposed to get an inch of snow, so everything's
same.
shutting
Oh.
down. I mean, it's like
Oh
Armageddon.
my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's how Trisha, I bet that's how it is in Virginia, because here in Tennessee, it's like January and February, they hardly ever go to school. And it's been sleeting all day today, and the temperature is
Really?
dramatically dropping that I'm like, I doubt they'll go tomorrow.
Are you
Right,
serious? That
It's
is
like,
wild.
Like, come on. They can't
Last
have to go
January,
back.
they were out for 3 weeks.
What?
What?
Straight?
Yeah. 3
Oh my
weeks
gosh.
straight. It's like they closed for wind,
Look
and
at
then they
Christmas
closed
The
for
wind.
yeah, we cannot handle weather here in Tennessee. And then we got a lot of snow, and then it was like uncharacteristically cold. So then everything iced over, and by the end of it, it was at first it was great. I'm like, we're sledding. This is so magical. We don't have this experience here in Tennessee. And then I like lost my mind and just started yelling at, because all the neighbor kids were in our house, and like every room had a fort in it, and they're like dumping everything out, and I had work to do. I don't have a treadmill. I couldn't run, and I just like completely lost it. I was just like, and they just scurried like little
And
squirrels
they never
around
came back.
everybody else's house, and I was like, good. Let's deal with it.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Yeah.
But
It looks like, and the temperatures are supposed to be like cold this week. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
crap, how do I go to work? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
God. I'm trying not to think about it. It's too stressful.
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do you go to work? Oh, if they're home. Well, because will you guys be home because it's too cold for them to go to school?
I mean, so this is the thing. If it like snows or rains
And then it
it's like
ices.
12 and
Yeah.
it's icy, they'll shut the schools down. They won't open.
That's so
So
crazy.
I'm like, oh yeah. And they've got to go. They need to get back in a routine. My kids have been
Yeah.
sick for like 4 weeks. It's
Oh,
been
that's right. Yeah.
a war. Oh yeah.
You've been in
Yeah.
like a sickness loop.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are the worst.
Yeah.
Nonstop for over 4 weeks. We've had everything.
That's
Oh,
wild.
Yeah.
Did you get the stomach virus? I feel like that was really going
No.
around.
Yeah.
No.
I'm knocking on wood everywhere.
The only
You're like, I'm looking
The
for
only
something.
Yeah. We had, so my son kicked it off with pneumonia. The next week, my middle had strep, finished antibiotics, was off of it for 1 day, got the flu.
Oh,
The next week, then last weekend, I took all of my kids to Kid Med. My oldest had reactive airway disease from pneumonia. So they give him a steroid treatment, put him on an inhaler.
stop.
My
You can
middle,
make-
Oh,
my middle had pneumonia and an ear infection. She had just had the flu and strep. And my youngest had the flu.
Gee,
And you're
Goodness.
sweet,
you're like,
and you
what?
can get
What?
healthy.
Yes.
Okay,
I don't know
I'm
how.
knocking on wood.
Yeah.
And in addition to an ironclad crotch, you have an ironclad immune system.
You know what it is I refuse. I refuse to
Yeah.
get sick. Like, I won't
Yeah.
even acknowledge it. Like, if I
I'm the
feel like
same way.
something's coming, I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And that's not
Yeah.
for me.
That's
So
not
actually, I
happening.
made it a full year. The last time I was sick was New
Wow.
Year's Eve last year. Like, nothing.
Whoa.
So I'm either, I'll probably get, like, the bubonic plague next.
Product plague.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's going to be
gosh.
something big.
Yeah, that's how my husband is he like refuses and then he got
Yeah.
knocked down.
Oh.
When he gets knocked down, it's like big time. But when he's sick, he'll just be really cranky and then he'll just like pass out in random rooms for 10 minutes. And then like the next week, he'll be like, yeah, I really was sick. He's like, yeah, I had a fever and didn't feel. I'm like, why didn't you tell us? Like,
God.
He doesn't say anything.
no.
Oh.
Oh.
Cannot
Yeah, I feel
relate.
kind of bad for rolling my eyes.
Yeah.
The man flu is real, and I hate
Yeah.
man flu.
Oh, the worst. It starts at such a young age because that's my now 9-year-old.
True.
Like, he
It's
has
true.
it. Yeah.
You're like, no,
Oh,
things
yes.
with us. You're not doing it. You're not
Right,
gonna
please
be one of those.
break the cycle.
Oh my gosh.
Shanna and Olivia, how were your breaks?
Mine was pretty good. We went to my mom's. We always like strategically plan it, so we're like 90% of the time not at our house, and it's so great because I'm like, oh, I'm making a mess. I don't even care. It's
Right.
not my house. But yeah, so it was really nice. We just got back really early this morning. We ended up driving through the night. The only sad part is that our breaker to our garage like shut off, and so all of our deep freezers and our fridge and a ton of meat is like just gonzo. Like my husband did pick it up this morning because we have trash in like 2 days, and he was like, he's like, I wanted to cry because we have like half a pig in there, and like,
Oh,
like,
that's so
yeah.
frustrating.
It was so sad. So I was like,
Oh,
oh,
I'm
happy
sorry.
New Year. Now we get to go spend more money on food.
Oh,
gosh.
Okay,
That's
it's fine.
crazy. That's
We had a
such
great time.
bummer.
It was a good little vacation. I'm excited to send them back off to school tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And Olivia,
That's
you
awesome.
went to your in-laws, right? For a little bit?
I did, yeah. I just went for like 3 or 4 days. Actually, it was only 2 nights, I think. So that was right when break started. But since I only have Grayson in school, my whole
It's
life
the
is kind
same.
of just them on. Yeah. So, I mean, it will be nice to have a little bit of routine back just with him being back in school and then his little activities that he does. But yeah, I've been alone a lot. My husband has done, he did a 96, another 96, a 72, and another 96. And then I don't know what to expect for this week yet. So it's just been a lot of time by myself. And my poor mom has been getting a lot of phone calls from me where I'm like, so how you doing? What are you up to? And she's like, well, I'm just out walking. And I'm like, what are you thinking about? So yeah, it's been a lot of that, but it's been good. And then I took those 2 weeks off after the marathon, so I didn't even have running to focus on for a while. And then it was just easy runs back, and I was like, I just need something to stimulate my brain just a little bit. But we're actually not there yet. So yeah. And then you would think I'd be better. And I've been ignoring anybody who's been trying to contact me in other forums. Just like if there was an email, I'm like, that can wait. Oh boy, I don't know what day it is. And then I'm waiting for things and I'm like, oh, today's Sunday. Nothing's going to come in today. So yeah, it's just been super weird. I'm very excited for it to at least feel like the weeks are starting again a little bit. And yeah, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this like 100-day of yoga challenge. And I was like, I'll start on the 1st or on Monday. And
Is it a yoga with Adrian challenge?
no, it was just something I put in my head.
You guys know yoga with Adrian? Her
Oh,
YouTube
very cool.
channel? Oh, I love it. It's really good. And it's very like, it's 20 minutes usually. And she's just very calming. And she's a cute little dog named Benji. And you guys know how I love dogs.
Fun.
And she did a 100-day challenge last year and I did it.
Cute. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Sorry.
Well, maybe
Well,
she's doing it
she
again.
may be
I
doing
should
it
do that.
again.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you guys haven't heard of her. She's big time.
I feel like it's familiar. I have, there's another like fitness instructor, Adrian, that is in my head, and I'm sorry, but he's like very buff, so and like he wears like these tanks, and I was
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I literally
talking
was just
about?
like, oh, yoga with Adrian, tell me more. But
Tell me more.
sorry, husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Peloton, Adrian, right?
It was the Peloton, Adrian. I like got
Yeah.
really into boot camps for a while, and I was like, "What am I doing?" I don't even like lifting weights that much, but yeah, for him, I will.
I know that one too.
What's
But
his
they're all
last
buff
name?
on Peloton.
Yeah.
Adrian, what's his full name? Do you know? Adrian Williams?
Williams, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
core with him.
yeah.
I did car with him.
I like. It's so funny.
With
Like,
him.
Do you bring your mic with you?
Bring your leg up. Hey.
oh my gosh,
Hello, Adrian.
sweating! Oh my gosh, I'm gonna need to open a window in here.
When you guys need to come in and watch the YouTube, you can
Yeah, I know.
figure out
Oh my
why we're laughing so hard. I don't know why I chose a flesh-colored microphone. I think it said pink. It said pink. And I was like, oh,
It
Eleanor
did
will like
say
this.
pink. It definitely didn't say flesh colored. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm still allowed to have like a little topper, which would make it even more phallic.
Yes.
Yes, but I gave it to Cal so that he could make art out of it.
What, the foreskin of the mic?
The foreskin of the
The mic. Foreskin. I always call it, like, I always say, I don't know what to do with this condom right here. Because, like, I'm like, do I leave it on? Does it sound better?
It's just like, I don't know what to do with the foreskin. I just
But now the foreskin, that's even
Wow.
more funny.
How many minutes in are we? That happened quickly.
we
Yeah.
go back to who let us have a podcast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
25 and we are no better than ever.
No, I have
New year,
no
same
aspirations
eyes.
of cleaning up my mouth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No,
Wow.
Trisha and I were talking about how we need to record a podcast where we're all just doing our phone sex operator voices and see what happens.
We're paywalling that one and seeing how well it does.
And
Yeah.
who knows? We might have a whole bevy of people subscribing.
Right.
Can you imagine? Like, who would we have show up? It could be a really good social experiment, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's one I want to be a part of, though, to be honest.
I know. The internet's a scary, scary place.
It is very
Yeah.
scary. Yeah, on that note, okay,
Oh
so
my
you know, I'm getting serious, guys.
Okay.
This is around the time that we do a shout out, and we have many candidates, but we would really love it if Shanna, what is happening?
I don't know. I'm just like, when you say serious, I don't know how to do that. So
Speaking of foreskin, let's just move on.
And we would really like you guys to nominate a mother runner for shout out. So reach out to us on Miles with Moms podcast on Instagram. All of you guys are sweating.
No, I'm like full on sweating at this point. Like,
I'm actually freezing. It's very cold here.
I'm a little warm.
Um,
it was
I'm glad you guys can't hear. My dog is like knocking on the door, wanting to be let back in. You guys,
like, what's going on in there?
because I told you she doesn't know how to open the door, so she just like slams it repeatedly. Okay, well, so yeah, so I'm gonna go let her in. So you guys talk about nominating people
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram. Talk about that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
go.
Yeah, you guys should
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys should nominate people that no, sorry, I'm trying to get serious really quick. I'm hot and I'm hot and bothered, okay? Sorry. Okay. No, we would like you guys to nominate someone that you, it doesn't even have to be an impressive race or anything like that. Just a mother runner that you were inspired or feel like their story should be shared. So just something along those lines, whether they just started running and you're proud of them, that they've been running for a couple of weeks consistently, or that they set a big goal. So just anything along those lines.
Good job, Olivia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good job.
Do we want to get started on our topic?
Yes.
Done talking about foreskin? I'm sorry. You just dropped a whole bunch of
Oh my gosh. We just covered that Shanna's mother watches this.
I'm so
on YouTube.
Mom.
My board there with her flush-colored mic. So hello, Shanna's mother. We love you.
Oh my gosh. You guys,
this is a running podcast.
This is a running podcast.
For moms, by moms.
For moms, by moms.
Moms have feelings too.
Yeah. Moms Unleashed is what this is. Moms Unhinged too, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And now this is the serious portion of the podcast. Okay, so goal setting. It's 2025. In the last episode, we talked about our goals for the new year. And now is when we discuss how we select those goals. Like what goes into your decision-making process, because obviously we have limitations. We don't have all the time in the world to chase goals, to go, like, gone are the days of going and running for 20 plus miles and then coming home and laying on the couch the rest of the day. I don't know about you guys, but when I think back to before I had kids, I'm like, what did I do with all the time that I had? Like, yeah, it's like, and my husband and I were like, yeah, well, we ran a ton. You you're bored, just go run. And then you can just eat cereal and, binge and Netflix shows. And we can't do that anymore.
Kashi cereal.
Oh, 100% Kashi cereal. We would get really creative. We'd mix it. We'd throw, protein powder in there and
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Trisha, you seemed perturbed by this.
No, I'm just imagining you're eating dry cereal amongst the powder, or how's
milk's in there. And for the you guys will be happy to know that I had Kashi cereal last night before bed, and it was and it was fine. I've recovered. Wow. It was fine. Yeah, it was their cinnamon shredded wheat kind.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. Into the milk. That makes more sense. I was picturing, you eating straight out of the cereal box, just throwing scoops of protein powder.
Yeah, that would make me cough, I think.
She dry scoops them. The dry
yes. Dry scooping protein powder.
That would
Have
not.
You ever tried that? I did it once with pre-workout.
I don't know how these runner influencers, they're 20 years old. I'm pretty sure there's a label on that box that says don't do this, but look at me.
It's awful. I tried it once just to say, with half of a scoop of one.
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
Did you I feel like I would
on it. Yeah, it's just
swallowing it dry.
Yeah. People do it all the time.
Yes.
I don't know how.
Isn't it? I've never actually taken pre-workout, to be honest. But aren't you supposed to drink? I mean, isn't the water what activates it? So why are people? Oh my gosh.
Well, it hits you way faster because you're just to the face.
Yeah.
With the
to the face. Just.
We talk about how the water makes them feel sloshy in their stomach, which I don't know. I feel like it's just this facade to look cool. But there is a warning label. There's doctors who are actually coming out because it was becoming such a popular thing. They're like, that's not good for you. You guys, you need the water with it. I don't know what the science was behind it, but there was warning labels about it. So
it's gotta just tear you up.
That's my mom's side coming. Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Right. Warning label.
Which I tried the NeuroGum yesterday.
Ooh.
I'm afraid I might get addicted.
Oh,
Yes,
you
Really?
work.
Yeah, like it's not anything crazy. It just like makes you feel
Like
like clear and like your
Yeah.
brain is clear and your body feels good and like, but it's not a jolt or anything. It's just like, oh, I feel good.
and there's no like you don't like dip at all. Like after like normal, you have a high and then a low. With this,
No. Yeah.
Right.
you gotta try.
I am convinced
Yeah, I
that
like
had
it.
you chewed the NeuroGum, you would have taken 5 minutes off your CIM time. And
No. Oh man.
no, I need to read the label because I'm like very tempted to chew more than the serving size.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of time still, like 15 minutes.
Uh-oh.
I thought I was muted.
Olivia's gonna, she's out in 15 minutes. No, 15 minutes.
He doesn't
is
know
never
what time is, so he'll tell me 25,000 hours in a second. It's fine.
Right. That's so.
Well, Olivia, you have big goals for this year. So how do you choose these goals and what do you take into consideration? And a big thing that our listeners want to know is, again, finding the time, because you do a lot of your workouts on the treadmill, and obviously you can't occupy your kids for hours at a time on the treadmill.
Yes. So with that, the biggest thing is figuring out like what works for you. So as far as like the treadmill went for the longest time was just breaking that up into bite-sized pieces, whether it was like, it did start with 10 minutes at a time. So I'd go on and I would just walk so that I could hop off easily to help the kids. And then over the course of time, like I still sometimes, if I see that I have, like I saw for next week on Friday, I have 5 miles at marathon pace. And so I was like, okay, what that might look like. There's a pretty solid guarantee I'll get a full hour in without having to get off the treadmill. But in my head, I'm like, okay, so that might look like 17 minutes, then getting off and go like for the 17-minute warm up, 18-minute warm up, getting off, getting them a snack, getting back on the treadmill, getting 30 minutes of my like actual workout in, and then maybe stepping off and like getting them another snack or changing a diaper or whatever it is, making sure they didn't get in the bathtub, that kind of thing. And then either the cool down will come later or I'll be able to get it in. So like that's a very realistic day, unfortunately, for like what an actual speed workout would look like. But I know that all of that stuff adds up. Grayson, absolutely not. You're not making that noise. Sorry. I've been with them so much. So like any farting noise that they are on, what?
I said this content is appreciated. Moms like, trust me, they'll
I
feel that so deep.
Yeah, I was like, if I hear one more child making a farting noise, I'm gonna lose it. So he just like walked in and started doing it, and I was like, I can't listen anymore.
At least it's fake.
Yeah, that's true. Well, for now. Okay, so I did write down how I've set my goals. Is I prioritize my tasks. So I prioritize like what things are important. So like so my run so hanging out with the kids in the morning and giving them that quality time, and then my run is the most important. And then after that is like the dishes, the laundry, all of that stuff, because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I do like I can work my schedule around that. Please give me a second, honey. Okay. And then just being really realistic about it. This was my biggest thing that I learned last year was like having realistic time goals. Like if it takes longer to get somewhere, that's okay. It shouldn't be discouraging. But if I have to add on 3 extra months onto whatever goal it is, that's not the end of the world. Like there will always be races, right? Like making the decision to not do Boston, right? Like I was like, oh, I really want this time at Boston. And then it's like, I had to be okay that it's the same 26.2 like distance wise, maybe not experience wise, but same distance that, you know, and I'll just do it a little bit later, and having to be okay with things like that. And then being flexible is like the number one, or that actually now at this point it's number 3, but that's like a huge one, is just having to be flexible, because like all of this could change, right? Sorry, in my head it's number 1, but I wrote it down as number 3. and and then involving my family like as much as possible. So, you know, say like I map out like how far in advance. Like I know that probably towards late April or mid-April, I'll probably have some 20 milers. I will need a lot of time in the mornings on like either a Friday or Saturday, and just letting my husband know ahead of time, because what if he decided to sign up for a pickleball tournament or something and, you know, didn't tell me? And it's like, well, now he knows that those are the days that we would either need to have a grandparent come or something like that. So those are just some things that I have in my mind of like how it's important. Like you can plan really, really big goals, but there has to be a good plan of action, and that probably doing it by yourself isn't the way to go about it. Like you have to involve your family, right? So yeah, so those are like my things that came to mind with how I approach big goals and time goals, right? Like that's huge. Is like right now I'm like dead set on the clock, and so those speed workouts are super important. So making sure that I have at least a little bit of flexibility in there to get those workouts in. So
it's good.
yeah.
It's good how you're looking at the whole picture. Because I did not do that
Yeah.
when I was going after my big goals. I was just like, I had so much going on my plate, and I did not think about like, okay, well, if I'm working full time from home and I have the kids full time at home and I'm running 100 miles a week, like something's
Yeah.
gonna give, which was my body.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and so now it's like I'm so protective of everything, like having balance and making sure I sleep and recover. And I hate the tension so much between like family stuff or whatever and then training. Like I hate that. I don't know. It just, I have a hard time not feeling guilty or selfish if I'm like, well, there's soccer, but I also have this 20-mile run. How do I, so flexibility is key. And I think having a coach or a training plan that is flexible too, because I had a coach that was not flexible, and the schedule, I've told you guys, was like very rigid, and we had many workouts. And so it was like hard to move things around. So I feel like if you're able to embrace that, like the flexibility in your training, and I can do a long run during the week or on a Sunday or whatever instead of always a Saturday, it helps. She has a lot to say on the topic. It's like,
I think I think that's what's hard is like, you know, with my husband's schedule, like say he gets overtime on a Saturday, I do get very, very like it would drive me to insanity if I was not to get that 20-mile run in within that Saturday or Sunday, and he doesn't get home until like 11 the next day. And I do get really, really stressed out, but because I am so familiar with my treadmill, I know that I would put it in my head that I would do it after the kids' bedtime. So I know that I would keep those kids up all day, tire them out so they go to bed at 7 so that I could run on the treadmill and get that 20-miler in, versus, you know, just being like, well, this week I didn't get it in, or I will just move it to even a Tuesday, which is like not ideal. But I mean, it's funny because once you are in that like race day or race week, you're like, all that stuff I worried about so much didn't even like, it doesn't affect anything right now, you know? And I think that's one of the things I learned so much last week was like just getting so caught up in this stuff. And I was like, why are you taking yourself so seriously?
yeah,
I think it's great to take goals seriously, but you like if you're not in love with like switching your training plan around and all this stuff, if you're not loving it, then what are you doing? Like take a step back, take a breath. Do you love this? Or is the grind not fun? Right? Like, is it stressing you out? Is it stressing your family out? Like, are you putting this on other people at this point? Right? Like that's where it's like, what are these goals worth, or what are they for, you know?
Totally. Yeah. You have to make sure that they're serving you well, which has been something that
Yeah.
I've struggled with and talked about. Okay. Trisha, what about you? Because you got big goals coming up.
Yeah, but I feel like I shouldn't even be part of this conversation because I am very
He's in the
much
woods, man.
No, but like I feel like I used to be very stringent and like one of those people, Olivia, where it was like, oh, God forbid I shift my long run to a different day.
I mean, that's how I was too. And I never want to go back to that.
Right. Yeah. And it
You
just
think
stresses you
stressed
out
over
so
stuff
much.
that didn't matter. Yeah.
Right. Like your body doesn't know the difference between 20 miles on a Saturday versus a Monday. Like,
That's so true.
But-
Yeah.
Right. But now it's like I am very type A in many ways, but I am also very fly by the seat of my pants when it comes to training. And I really just take it like one day at a time. I'm not even going to say 1 week at a time, and I feel like it's taken me a long time to get to this place where I'm not such a slave to a schedule.
Nikki.
And for me, like that stresses me out and it takes the fun away from it. But if I'm like, oh, I feel really good today. Like yesterday, I had every intention of running like 12 or 13 on the treadmill. And I was like, I am not feeling that at all. And so I got on the bike and did a workout and I was like, okay, I'm not even going to run. And then today I did 13 because I felt good. But it's like, I just kind of go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's taken a long time to get to this place. So I have big goals, but I'm like, I'll figure it out along the way.
I'm trying to get to and leaving it open-ended, where before it was very like, here's the target and I want to do everything I can to get to that target. Whereas now it's like, let's do the process, the journey, and then see where I end up, sort of thing.
Right.
Like I was going about it backwards, which I think a lot of runners do. They're like, here's my race, here's the time I want, and I'm going to try to squeeze in the training and hope that my life like agrees with my plan and my kids aren't sick all the time and whatever, which just like sets you up for being extremely frustrated and feeling out of control.
Right, exactly. And I think for me, because I have no problem with getting up super early, like, and I put in a lot of time with workouts with my kids over the years. And that was like the only time, like, Olivia, I can completely appreciate like what you're doing now because I've been there.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, I'm okay getting up early. So why would I not just enjoy that time to myself?
Yes.
Where before it was like, there wasn't an option. Like I needed the sleep. Like working out with my kids, running with them in the stroller, like that was it was that season of life for me. But now I'm like, I'll get up at 4 and do my thing and have that time to myself for the benefit of everyone around me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you get anxious about that? Like, because I know you want to run like 100-miler and things like that, right? Or 100K, which I don't remember which one it is. I always have them the same.
I haven't committed completely to the 100-miler in the summer. I'm running a 50-miler in March, and then for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds far.
But now
3 miles off of no training. Why is she worried about 100 miles, you guys? Come on.
Yeah, he's not.
And I really did see like, because going into the first ultra, coming from a marathon training background, I was so used to like the stringent aspect of it, like the speed work. Like, where this was, I just kept hammering in like all that matters is the time on feet. Especially for the first one. Like now, I would kind of want to test the waters with going faster, but I also know like it's all about just like fatigue resistance, essentially. So I'm definitely putting in a lot of work, but I'm mainly focusing on like how I feel in the day and kind of going from there.
Which is what Courtney Dowalter does, right? Like she just runs whenever she feels like, which I think is so amazing.
Right.
Wow.
And I feel like it just prolongs your longevity in the sport too.
Yeah.
And like, look at her. I mean, she's just a beast. Like she's
really what I'm trying to do. It's hard though, because I am type A and I am very structured and I like a schedule, but I keep learning that it can be to my detriment. Like it's a blessing and a curse to be that way, I feel like.
Sure. And I still am. I mean, I'm like, okay, 4 a.m. like on a Sunday, I am up, I am at like, so I've still have that piece of me that will never go away. I just have shifted it a little, I guess.
Well, I feel like there's a way to use that in like a healthy manner, which is what you're doing. You have a discipline now because of that person, like that character trait, right? Like, whereas like people can use that in a lot more of like an unhealthy way, kind of like what we were talking about. They get so stringent on it being a certain way all the time, which I've gone through that. Like I remember there's some periods where I was like, no, I have to do this workout on this day at this time, and like feel like it was like the other things were a burden to me. Whereas now I'm like, okay, like does it really matter if I do it in the PM on the treadmill in my garage? No, like it gets done, right? But I think there's also that healthy side where it does like that habit, like having that type of personality can be beneficial to you because it causes like a discipline. Like being type A, like you're very disciplined. And so you keep showing up. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
sure. Yeah. With everything too. Like I think about, you know, like as a parent, like with work, like it's not like just running when we have these personalities.
That's very true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's like it's discipline. If you're able to be disciplined but also embrace flexibility, like that's the dream team right there. It's like chocolate and peanut butter, you know? It's just it's unbeatable.
Perfection. Right.
Perfection.
Like Olivia, like that's like a prime example of like dedication and flexibility is like, oh, I'll just run 20 miles after the kids go to bed.
Yeah.
Like
right now sounds miserable.
if it's not happening by like 6 a.m., like it's that is a struggle for me. So I applaud you.
That's when you're snorting your pre-workout and
I need that.
It's vitamin C. I'm like, I won't get sick of snorting lines of vitamin C off the counter. Little pre-workout.
Well, now I need to try that. I'm going to be all hopped up with NeuroGum plus the pre-workout. Like, watch out, guys. 2025 is going to be a whole different flavor of Whitney.
It's going to be buzzing.
I can't wait.
If this wasn't enough, okay, Shanna.
Have you guys been seeing that like meme that's or that like I don't know, that phrase that's been going around on Instagram that's like it doesn't matter how you eat between now and or like then and New Year's, like the whole month of December, right? But it matters what you do from New Year's to next Christmas. Like that's what I was thinking a lot about when you guys were talking, because I feel like a lot of like my like guilt or like my frustration of like being regimented with like my schedule comes from that mentality of like, oh no, if I'm not showing up exactly when I should, how I should, I'm not doing it right, and I'm not gonna progress the same. But in reality, right, consistency is consistency. And even if you're showing up for like 20 minutes on a day that maybe you had, I actually did this a couple of times just now being back into training, where I took like a 60 or 70 minute run and I made it a 45-minute run. I was like, I am not feeling this. I feel like shiz out there. And these miles feel rough. I'm breathing hard and my heart rate's high. I just feel like I haven't ran in forever. And I was like, I'm making this a 45-minute run. This is not fun. And I think it's just like reminding yourself, like, just because you cut a run short or you cut a couple reps off or you skipped a cool down, like that's not going to deter your goals for the entire rest of the year, right? Like it's the consistency. So that's what I have to remind myself when I'm in the grind of training, especially marathon training, because it is a lot. Like I don't care how many miles a mom is doing, like it is a very big sacrifice to show up and do marathon training at any level. And that's something I had to tell myself over and over and over again in my scheduling of last year. It was like, okay, like I'm giving what I can give where I can give it. And I think it helps to have a coach that it backs you up on that. Cause my coach is very like treadmill friendly. He's like, hey, do what you can outside if you can, but if you can't, it's all going to translate. And that was really helpful for me because I came from like two opposite coaching backgrounds, where one was like, why are you on the treadmill? And I'm like, because I have 6 kids. Like, what do you expect? And then I had another coach that was like very much like, oh, you got it done. Good job. that's mental gain right there. Good job, you know? And so, yeah, I think just showing up where you can, how you can, when you can, that's all you need to do. And some weeks it's going to look great. You're going to be right on schedule with every single run. And then other weeks you're like, that was a shit show of a week. We're moving on. We did our best and it's okay. It's still going to stack, you know?
I do fight like the perfectionist.
It's hard.
Though. It's hard. Like I think it's like, because the rest of your life can feel out of control, that, or maybe I should speak for myself and not you guys, but like often I'll feel like the rest of my life is out of control, but running is something that I can control.
Yeah.
And
100%.
so then I'm like, well, it says this on the schedule. I got to do this on the schedule and maybe a little bit more. And so now I am trying to fight that voice that's always like, what's an extra mile or what's a little bit faster, you know, because it like gets me into, it's gotten me into trouble in the past. So this is, I keep talking about this new Whitney that's like more laid back and doesn't put so much like pressure on herself.
I feel like Nick will be a good,
so hard.
a good,
yeah, I think
mix,
so.
like,
I think that someone that can
match.
recognize, yeah, exactly. I think that having a coach that matches where you're at currently is going to help, especially because I think we should have obviously a full discussion about coaching and what that looks like for us. But just having someone that can offer you the, like, basically the mental support of changing like the way that you view your goals, because like, say, like for our listeners that are new moms, or maybe you're just getting into running and you have older kids, whatever age your kids are at, or you're postpartum, that like setting bite-sized goals that like you don't even have to look at big picture stuff, but maybe just having those just smaller, more attainable goals that you can keep chipping away at, I think is really, really, really helpful. Because I think so much about how I was postpartum with my second, and I wanted to run Chicago Marathon when she was 6 months old. Like I was so hard on myself, and how crazy it was that I just looked at a picture of it. I was so mad at myself because it took me an hour and 20 minutes to run 7 miles. And I was like, I wanted to run Chicago Marathon in 3:30. And I was like, I was just angry with myself. And I had this brand new, beautiful baby. And I was like mad at myself, but I just made a human. Like, and it's such a crazy thing because like we do get really hung up on these goals, but like, I was showing up. Like I showed up for an hour and 21 minutes and I didn't even enjoy it. I was like mad that the distance wasn't enough for me, you know? And
don't you think outside influences like do that to us though? It's like if you didn't see what other
100%.
people were doing on Strava, in your running group, on Instagram, you would have no idea. It's the whole, I don't know if you guys read The Allegory of the Cave by Socrates or Plato in high school, but it's like you're down in the cave and you have no idea what's going on, but once you come out and you see the light, then it's like there's no turning back, you know, like ignorance truly can be bliss. It's good to stay in your lane and put your blinders on, because then you like really see yourself showing up in all that you're doing, and you're not letting what other people do dampen like your view of yourself.
I agree with that. Like I just got off Strava like a month before my marathon last year, and it's been so freeing. It's kind of weird because I don't know what everybody's doing right now. And like Olivia will tell me every once in a while, oh, did you see so-and-so? I'm not
it's me.
I'm not gonna say names, but she's gonna be like, did you see so-and-so? They're already doing these crazy workouts. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm glad I'm not on Strava because I don't want to see that, because I don't want to get stuck in that comparison trap. Like I'm breathing hard at like 8 somethings right now, you guys. Like I'm not joking. Like I literally had to do like this mild tempo the other day, and I took a 2-minute walk break in between the 30 minutes because I was so tired. But I think there is some power behind just stepping away and knowing your limitation, like knowing your limits. Like if it's gonna consume you, is it worth your time to be on it? Like, or maybe you follow somebody that maybe is very manic in their training. There's a lot of people on Instagram that are very manic when it comes to their training, and it is toxic to watch. Like, especially if you're type A personality, like where you're like, oh, I should be doing more. This person's doing more. Maybe I should be doing more. I struggle with that, like feeling like I'm doing enough all the time. and putting those people on mute, because you can mute people like that. You don't have to unfollow, but you can just mute it and see, like, check on them every once in a while. Hey, I'm going to comment on their stuff just to show I'm still supporting. But yeah, like knowing your limits and that knowing that that's okay to put those boundaries up, like separate yourself from that toxic side of just go, 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 you know? I don't know.
That's very true. I think just separating yourself, and like I think it all leads back to comparison, because it's like I think we set this standard of like, if I'm not doing this, then it's not good enough. Honestly, I've looked back so much on why I'm so, because I don't know if I am type A. I'm very like, whatever, when like people are like, oh, I'm so OCD, the lines have to line up. I'm like, I like when they don't. I think it's cute. But I've never been, I just don't get, don't get bothered by things like that. Like if a picture was crooked.
For me, I feel like we're all type
Yeah.
A in like our own little ways.
Yeah, maybe. Because I'm like, if a picture was crooked, I'd be like, eh. Like I just would never, like, where my husband would come home and immediately be like, oh my gosh, that didn't bother you all weekend? And I'm like, no. But but I wonder why I get so rigid about my running. And it's because I place, outside of being a mom, it's like, it's kind of all I have in a way. It sounds bad. I mean, I know I have other things, like I could get into other things. I just really love running and I really love the pursuit of it. But once I stopped working, it was like I just dove all this, and I ran before I quit working, but it's like I just pour so much into it because it's like this other little slice that's for me. And like when I was working, I loved working. Like I loved being a paramedic. I would always work with people that are like, I just want to be a stay-at-home dog mom. And I was like, I love this. I thought it was fun, and I'm super social and things like that. So like it's this little slice that it like kind of gives me back that same feeling of purpose in a way, you know. And I have purpose as a mom. Like it's not that, and I don't ever want to be like, oh my gosh, I have all this value as a runner. I'm not a professional runner. But it's just one of those things that it's like I get really rigid about it because I do treat it in that same respect, where I'm like trying to learn more, be better, you know, be stronger, be more mentally sound and strong, you know, that kind of thing. And that's where a lot of it comes from. But sometimes that's good to also take a step back and be like, you're being too rigid. You're being too much. You're not a professional athlete. You can take a day off, you know?
I think for a lot of us, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, like I'm the same way, Olivia. And the fact that like I left my work and then created my business around running, and like I have this like pressure that I'm like, well, you need to be chasing these goals, because otherwise then I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, if I'm just going, running, doing whatever, then how can I be out there touting running and like getting better when I'm just kind of lollygagging around? I can't believe I just said the word lollygagging.
I'm impressed that you threw that in there.
It's always one word. I think for us too, though, it's like as moms, we're constantly pouring into other people and doing so much for everyone else. And so with running, it's like, and I can't speak for all of you, but it's like the one thing that we have for ourselves that's only for us. It's like, yeah, we can say we're doing this and like our why is our kids and whatever, but in the end of the day, like that's like our thing, right? So
it's so true. Yeah.
It's nice to have that like as a big focus.
Yeah. Yeah. It does come from that a lot, where it is like we are just pouring into others. And you with work, like you give I mean, when you're at work, you're focused, you're giving each patient attention and everything like that. So I guess like, and then you get home and it's kid time. And then, so when you wake up and it's 4 a.m, you're like, it's silent. This is my silent time. I can pour into my own cup for a little bit. So I totally get it. I mean, and if I was in your position, I would do those intense, crazy workouts too. Cause sometimes, like I was doing yoga the other day and I was like, I can't imagine standing up and jumping right now.
When you guys were talking about 100 days of yoga, I was like, oh God, kill me. Like, I feel laying there like,
in the evening, like before bed, as like my relaxing, like cool down.
I should. Every time I do it, like hot yoga, I can get behind because I'm like, yes, I'm like sweating.
Yes, hot yoga. Oh man. Yeah.
But
The
I don't know.
sweat, the like,
I should.
yeah.
Yeah, so good.
You know
Yeah.
how,
But
you know how 21 Day Fix used to have like the structured workouts? I don't know if you ever did 21 Day Fix, Trisha, but
yeah.
you would have yoga on there. I was like, skip that. I'm gonna do
Yes.
a leg day. And I literally know I'm like at my age and I have like all sorts. I was telling you, like, my calves are so tight, my knee, my quad. I was like, I'm only 32, but I feel like I'm 50. But anyways, it's because my mobility is like been non-existent, and I'm like, I need to do yoga. Like,
I know.
that's
Yeah.
my problem. I don't. I
Right.
see it as a waste of my time because I'm not burning a bunch of energy off or like sweating like up a storm.
Oh yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
same.
Joy, I'm gonna try to start doing it on my rest day. But I did see, this is where it comes with my age, and I was like I was messaging Trisha about this a few weeks ago, where I injured I strained part of my pelvic floor doing yoga. I was like, this is so sad. But I couldn't figure it out. And then I talked to Trisha, and then I talked to my old pelvic floor PT, and she's like, oh yeah, you definitely strained your obturator internus. I was like, ugh. She says it happens all the time with yoga. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got injured doing yoga.
Right. You just need to do what I do. Get your ironclad crotch intact. And then you don't have to worry about it.
That's what I need to do. I'm gonna, I'll just do everything Trisha does, and we'll see what happens. She's the female form of David Goggins, I think.
I know, seriously.
She's like, getting sick as for pussies.
It's like, yo,
Like, I don't even accept it.
No, I don't. I won't.
What sleep?
Pre-workout, who drinks it? Snort it.
Like chewing wads of neurogum all day.
Oh my gosh.
I need to read the fine print on it because it's so good. I think we reach out to them to be a sponsor.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh. I need to order some more because I'm almost gone.
She went through it the first day. All 89 pieces.
She's gonna be buying it in bulk. She's gonna contact wholesale. Listen,
I need more.
Whitney,
Huge like gumball machine. Just stuff it.
Oh my gosh. And then your kids get into it. And then,
your kids are like, we haven't been fixing it, Mom. We don't accept it. Oh my gosh.
I'm so psychotic.
Oh, that is so funny.
That was good. Yeah. Goals. Did you talk about yours, Whitney?
Yeah.
Shanna, do you put limitations on like, okay, I don't have time to run in the 80s miles per week, or I will not do doubles, or like that sort of thing?
So I tried to.
You can.
Love how we were like, Whitney, have you gone? And she turned.
And she's like, I'm not
My
even.
son was yelling at me, so I couldn't hear.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, that's so funny. We were all like,
I ordered something wrong on Amazon. I'm the worst mom ever, and so I was being treated by my 7-year-old son. Yeah.
No, so I tried to hit the 80-mile like mark because I feel like everybody around me with the same goals was running 80 plus miles. Oh, here comes my kids. Oh, great.
Yeah.
I might be wiping up.
Let's compare some business back there, it looks like.
He
was on a
marched in.
Taking care of business.
He's probably gonna go poop, so I'm gonna have to go wipe him in like a minute. But anyway, no.
A little butt wiper.
I know. I saw so many people that was running 80 miles or 85 miles, like just like left and right. And they're like moms too. And I was like, dang, like, am I doing this right? Like I've never hit 80 miles ever in my running career. And so I told my coach I was like, I'm going to hit 80 miles and I'm going to make it happen. And no matter how hard I tried, like I could not get 80 miles in unless I picked up like a Sunday run. And I didn't want to have to run 7 days a week. Like that's just, it's so much on me, my body, just because I'm so stressed all the time. And so I never could hit it. Like the closest I got was like 76. And then I finally realized, I was like, what? Why am I stressing over a freaking number? Like, if I
Yeah.
hit it and the quality's there, I'm doing all that I can, then like, why am I trying to substitute like extra warm up and cool down miles? Like, those are just, at that point, it's kind of just like fluff miles. Like,
Yeah, junk.
yeah, if I can get the same goal off 70 miles, oh, I'm so glad he didn't poop.
You're in the clear.
Yes.
Literally.
But
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
but I do the double runs I do, it is a little bit harder for me to skip those. I will be honest with that, because I don't want the audience on here thinking like, oh, I'm just like la di da di da. I don't, nothing bothers me. The double runs are hard for me to when I have to skip them if I do. But again, I have a treadmill too. So like I honestly, all my double runs are typically on my treadmill. So it's like sneaking it in during a nap time or sneaking it in at bedtime. Unless I'm feeling like really crummy or like really tired that week, then I'll drop a couple double runs. But I only do like 2. Like my coach just isn't a big high mileage person, so
Which I think is great.
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like high mileage for most people equals injuries. Like the risk is not worth the reward. I mean, the reward is not worth the risk.
No,
I
totally.
feel like so many people right now are injured right now too. And I mean, I don't know, like, obviously I can't pinpoint why so many people are injured, but it just seems like it's a lot of people that have run really high mileage or maybe did back-to-back marathons or something. But yeah, I do think that high mileage is definitely can be a well, because like it's like strength training, right? Can you just give me 1 second, baby? It's like strength training is the thing that balances out high, like the running part, right? Like if you can get longevity in running if you're strength training, but if you're not like adding on extra and then extra strength training to like support your high mileage, you're just adding on so much extra working out at that point. It's like it really does seem to look at that point too like what are you doing it for, because is it making you faster? Because really I don't think it could make you faster at that when you're running so many miles strength training a ton, because you would be so fatigued. Like where is the rest?
Recovery is where you actually get stronger. So
yeah, exactly.
if you're not able to recover enough in between all of those sessions, then you're just wearing yourself down.
Yeah, you would need like a whole like down week every 3 weeks then at that point,
Which is what I'm going to start doing, I think, too, by the way.
Oh, really? Every 3 weeks?
I think so, yeah. I was listening to Between Two Coaches. They had Stacey Sims on there, and she was talking about for like perimenopausal women, which I think I am now, that's beneficial. And like I for my goals, which it meets my family. You guys said, Whitney, talk about yourself. So I'm going to talk about myself. Like with our busy schedule and everything with kid activities and just my age and my energy levels and everything, I think I'm really going to try to do more with less, and realizing that, like Shanna, like you said, like quality, not quantity. And just, I was a higher mileage runner because all the people that I ran with, like that's what they did. Like 80 was kind of low, and so like realizing that didn't serve me well then, and it certainly won't serve me well now, and it didn't serve my family well either, because it was like my whole life revolved around running. And so I never, well, not really, but it felt that way, and so I don't want it to ever be like that again. Like I want it to be like the icing on the cake in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so for like as far as my goals go, I'm kind of afraid of marathon training, just because in the past it had been so time consuming, and like the early morning runs were a drag. And I've talked about this with our family. It's hard to do because we all go to bed late, and we all go to bed to, like, my son requires me to lay down with him, and then if I get up, then the puppy gets up, so then the whole family's up, so it's just really hard. And so I don't know, we'll see. I mean, we're signed up for Chicago, so we'll see how that goes. But like for right now, I just kind of want to embrace like the lower volume and just running whenever it feels right for my body, for my family. And again, just kind of see where that gets me. Like my goal right now is just to love running, stay healthy, and see if I can get my speed back.
Where do
So,
you
I'm
think
excited.
that came from? Like that standard of 100 miles. Like why are us as like non-pro runners, like where do we get that nonsense from?
honestly, like my running coach here and the community that he had and my really close friends, and one of them is like she's super elite, is that's what they were doing, and we all had the OTQ goal. So it was like we were all in it together.
Got it.
And it was like my old coach's belief was it doesn't matter how many miles you're running as long as like 80% of them are easy. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. I mean, like you need to you need to recover. It's running's repetitive and it's a high impact
Yeah.
activity. Like over time, if you are doing too much, it will break. It doesn't matter how slow you're running. And I was not running slow enough either. I mean, like, yeah, easy runs were never like slower than like a 7:30 pace, you know? It's just of course something was going to break, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I've just been so curious because I feel like I see that so often on Instagram right now. Like there is just so many people like, I mean, we're not even talking like under sub 240. Like these are people above the 240 mark that we're all just like everybody's running 90, 100. I see people doing, half marathon. And again, I'm not knocking anybody's training. I'm just so curious where it came from because again, I've only been on social media, like the Instagram side for 2 years. So for me, the whole running community thing is still like a new thing for me. To see people's training like up front in your face all the time. Whereas like before, like you train in high school, like you don't know what this team over here is doing. You have no idea. You find that out when you get on the start line and then you're like, oh, they've been training with this top person and that's why they're so fast now. And you're like, oh, that would have been nice to know. It's just so different now where I'm at in my running because I see everybody's training right there. And I'm like, for a half marathon training, you're hitting 80 miles. Like that is insane. Like, it's so crazy, but I think also too, where you're coming from, Whitney, like that's such a hard thing to turn in your head because me, like 65 miles was like my top. Like I've never ran 65 miles. So to me, I was like, I'm a high mileage runner. And then I hear what high mileage actually is. I'm like, oh no, I'm a low mileage runner. And you have to flip the switch and you have to tell your brain, okay, I'm used to being way up here, but now I'm going to come way down here. And that's scary. Like I remember my coach pulling me back in my first block with him and running paces I wasn't running my block before him. And I'm like, how is this going to translate? Like, how am I going to get faster when I'm running slower? That makes no sense.
mm-hmm.
Because you're training within yourself. And like you said, injury risk is higher no matter what pace you're running. It's still wear and tear on your body. And I think people are so afraid to rest. Like I notice that often, like after a race, like a marathon, people turn around and they're back in training. And I'm like, holy crap.
Oh yeah.
Like, how are you already doing tempo runs? Like my body literally feels like.
That's why I'm like, did you see this on Strava? I'm like, we all just ran that. And like my legs are still not the same. Like
it's different when you're going out and running for fun, right? Like, but when you're going out there and you're racing it and it is a race, like it is your a race for the year, why are you not resting? Like, why are you not taking time off? Like it's crazy. And that's again, when I say like, there's a lot of people that are manic training because you get tunnel vision. You get so excited and that there's no knock on them because we've all been there. We're all hypocrites in this regard. But you get so tunnel vision with your goals and you think any deterrence from that or slowing down of any kind is going to prevent you from reaching that goal. And it's like, no, like I love that I talked to like Trisha and you, Whitney, you guys are on the other side where you're like, we've been there. We don't want to be there again. And we're looking at longevity. Like we know what our body is capable of and what we know we want to see in the next coming years. And so we're going to do less. And I think there's so much like wisdom in you guys speaking about that because for my generation and below, especially in the 20-year-old ranges, they still have that tunnel vision where they're like, no, I need that David Goggin training, like to get to where I want to be, and it's not true with endurance running.
And I think it's a lesson that most people have to learn on their own. Yeah. And it's right. Just like things just, things get glorified that shouldn't be glorified.
Yeah.
And people see like elite athletes doing things and then they think, well, why can't I do that? And it's like, because you don't have the right DNA. But then everybody starts doing it and that becomes like the standard that we try to go by, and it just all gets worse. It's like some sort of dysmorphia in a way.
Yeah.
Well,
Trisha,
it's
in the ultra,
Look at Cal's airbrush t-shirt.
nice.
cute.
Was
That's
that
awesome.
Wu-Tang?
Wait, what?
Was it Wu-Tang? What was on
No,
the
it's not Wu-Tang, it's a skull. Come on, Cal, show them.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool.
But I remember,
I like
I remember when 2 marathons a year was a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and I felt that. Like, I would do like one in the
that
fall, one in the
too.
spring for a year. But now I feel like people are doing them every month. It's like,
Yeah.
I
you
know.
wonder why people are getting injured. It's so much on your body.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I know.
What were you gonna say,
Trisha,
Lily?
in the ultra world, are you focused on mileage like per week? Is that because I follow a couple of ultra runners. I mean, I follow them because they have like big accounts or they're fun. They make fun videos, and I like their like where they are in the desert or whatever, But I don't follow like their training plans at all. So is that a focus or is it more just like going out there and spending time on feet and people are super chill and don't care about that kind of thing?
For me, I can very easily get hung up on the number. So I can't say that I'm not good about that. Like and for me, I've always done better at higher mileage, but I get hurt when I start doing a lot of like the speed and quality work. That's always been like ever since I first started running. I can handle the mileage. It's just the fast stuff that gets me hurt.
Yeah.
But
I'm learning that too. Like I have to balance the variables. Like if I and it is like this for most people. Like if you are going to introduce speed, you got to bring the volume down, adapt to that new stimulus, and then you can start bringing it back up.
Yeah, I mean, also just for new runners out there that are, I guess, seeing so much of this is, I think it's just so, it would just be really discouraging. I'm glad that when I started running, I had no idea. I think my longest run was an 8-mile run, and that's just part of your Legos, baby. And now people are doing half marathon training and they're running 16 miles of speed work for a half marathon. And so I had a friend that just reached out. She was like, hey, do you have your first half marathon training plan? And I was like, sure, but it has no speed in it. Like, it was just like run 3 miles, run 5 miles. But I was like, I wouldn't get too hung up on it. Just give it a try, see where you're at for the first 3 weeks. And then maybe you can like start plugging in some paces in there. But, if you're seeing that training plan and your longest run on week 4 is still only 5 or 6 miles, like it would be so frustrating to go on and hop on Instagram and be following this person who probably has been running for many, many years or, just really likes doing double-digit runs or feels like they have to. Like I love doing double-digit runs, not for any other reason than I like that. Like yesterday, I needed that. I didn't need double digit. I needed 80 plus minutes. I needed more time outside. I needed to disconnect, but I was excited because I was like, it does feel good when you're seeing that higher mileage again, but that's because that's like my goal again. But if I was trying to pull back into a half marathon, I don't think I'd get hung up on not doing 16 miles on a Saturday morning. So for new runners, like it would just be really discouraging, I think, to think that that's like the gold standard, that you have to still be doing all these double digit runs where like 8 to 10 miles for your longest run for a half marathon at whatever pace you can do is fantastic. Like you will finish that race then. You will, like technically it should all work out, right? Like if you're not putting too much pressure on pace and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that there's a lot right now where people are just out there grinding so hard and you have to wonder like why, right? And like I just made that post about setting goals and like really wondering why. Like is it something that makes sense? Is it in your trajectory, or are you just putting it out there? Because if you're just putting it out there, then you can't put a time, like, I want to get this within the next 9 months, right? But if it's within your trajectory, it's like, okay, I want this within 6 months because I think I'll be able to work on this. I think I'll be able to run 20 miles within the next 16 weeks of my training plan. Then that's a great goal.
I think your point, like, what thinking about. Okay, I will look. If you think about like why you're making the goal, making sure it's for you, and also making sure that it's not somebody else's goal for you, and then like, kind of like a stair step. I mean, Shanna, I loved when you had your CIM goal and it was like just below what your PR was. It wasn't like I'm going to chop 5 minutes off or 10 minutes off, or I'm going for the OTQ. It was like, I just want to get a little bit better. I just want to chip away. And like, I think that that's a beautiful way of approaching goal setting. Like, we keep talking about like these big audacious goals, which is great, but then you can kind of set yourself up for disappointment or failure, especially when it comes in to a sport like running and marathoning, when there are so many other variables. And so stair stepping it and just wanting to get a little better each time, I think just like that can be more satisfying.
Yeah.
I just like when I have athletes come to me, and first of all, like when they are running so much more than they should be, and they're like, oh, I have this niggle and that niggle. And it's like, we got to back you off. You were doing way more. Like if you were trying to qualify for Boston and you're running like 60 miles a week, like that's not necessary. You don't need to be doing that. Like, I embrace it. Like, why is more always better? Like, can't we embrace this mindset of like, hey, it's pretty awesome if you can get away with running fast times and not running 80 miles per week or whatever. Like, more is not better. Let's do the like Cliff's Notes versions where we can, or like the athletes who come where they're like, get me to run this time on like in this race, and I just know it's not going to go well because you're just putting way too much pressure on yourself and way too much importance on a time. So I don't know. Look, the kids are going to take over the podcast now.
I know.
I know. They're like, Mom, it's time.
Yes, I think my family is definitely like, it's time. Cal has asked me to find like 8 different things for him.
They're like reading the snacks. I'm like, stop, reading dinner. Put him down.
Well, do we have anything else to say on the topic? Or are we ready to read a review?
You can do a review. I don't have anything else to add. Do you?
Okay. Just a reminder, we would love it if you guys left a review. We love them. They help us grow our audience. And also we are going to be giving away a prize this month to someone who leaves a review. So do it. So here's a review. Our most recent one, it's from Nicole. Nicole runs Motherhood. I like that. That's cute. The most relatable podcast. I absolutely love this podcast. It's so relatable and has me laughing out loud while I'm running. This is easily the best podcast to run to. I often find myself so into the podcast that I forget I'm even running. Thank you, Miles with Moms. Keep the episodes coming. Thank you so much, Nicole. I love that.
Thank you.
That was a good one.
It was so sweet. Well, I'm glad we got to join back again. And oh my gosh, all of you guys have kids on.
They're everywhere.
I think I scared mine away. I was like, you need to go away until I'm done.
I know, between the two of us, we've so many times been like muting, just like
be a minute. Okay, well, thank you guys for chatting. Thank you everybody for listening. And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.